Hey guys, my name is Tito. I make videos on personal finance on my other channel. On this channel, I talk about other things, like today when I'll be reviewing the new Nollywood film on Netflix, Collision Course. Collision Course is about Mide, a young musician who is traumatized after a near-death experience with officers of a special anti-crime unit within the police. After the incident, Mide tries to carry on with his life as a young person in Nigeria, but it seems like he can't escape the menace of corrupt police officers. Now, Collision Course never showed in cinemas. It premiered at the African Film Festival, AFRIF, back in October of 2021, 11 months ago, and it's just being viewed by the public now that it's on Netflix. And this film won the award for Best Movie West Africa at the AMVCAs in May. By the way, if you want to check out my AMVCAs vlog, you can click the card in the corner of the screen to check it out. I remember being very surprised when, Bolanle Austen Peters' name was called and, she won the award for this film. Of course, back then I hadn't watched the film, but now that I've watched it, I feel the film was very deserving of the trophy of Best Film West Africa. That said, let's talk about the performances in this movie. Etim Effiong does a good job playing Mide, a young man who abandons his law degree to pursue a career as a musician, and given what happens to the character at the beginning of the film, being abducted by the men of this fictional unit under the police, the SARS force, and robbed by them, he experiences all kinds of emotions, from fear to PTSD to trauma and all that, and even to hope. And Daniel does a fantastic job conveying the range of emotions that someone who would have gone through such a traumatic experience would feel, and it was very relatable and very real. I know a number of people came out in October of 2020 with their own similar experiences and how they chose not to speak about it until that time because of shame and whatnot. Daniel really conveyed the emotions. He did a great job, and on a good day, Daniel is a great actor anyway. Kelechi Udebe, I try and say it every chance I get that Kelechi Udebe is one of the best actors that we have in Nollywood, at least in his class, right? I've been a fan of his since his days on Ndani TV as Officer Titus. If you are looking to try something new, here on YouTube, in the search bar, search for Ndani TV Officer Titus and watch some of the episodes and thank me later. Anyway, Kelechi Udebe did great as Officer Magnus in this movie, a police officer who is also a family man, trying to provide for his family and keep his wife happy. And the character it showed us a side of the police force that we don't see very often. A side that we are inclined to empathize with, because this is just a man who is trying to work a job and provide for his family, but the conditions under which he's employed just don't make things easy for him. Hence, he's on the road collecting bribes to keep body and soul together. So I like the fact that the film and Kelechi's performance made us aware of that fact, or showed that fact with the police force. And it also showed the fact that it's not a good idea to frustrate somebody in the armed forces and then put a weapon in their hand, because we know how things ended up or turned out at the end of the movie. Kelechi there was a lot required from that character throughout the story, from the issues he was having with his wife at home, to the issues he was having on the job, to the moment or the scene where he connects with Mide, i.e. Daniel's character. There was just a lot required of that character, and I think Kelechi was the man for the job. I heard he actually won the award for Best Actor at AFRIF or something like that. Well deserved too, and I really enjoyed his performance in this film. BamBam plays Hannah in this film, Mide's pregnant fiance, and I think BamBam did a decent job. I like how BamBam has evolved into a proper actress these past couple of years. Kudos to her. Her performance was convincing enough. There are one or two moments where I wasn't really feeling it, but I felt generally she did a good job. I was chatting with someone earlier today and they weren't too convinced by BamBam's performance. The only thing I wondered about, to be honest, was if she was really pregnant while they were making that film, because she recently had her second child, and I was wondering while watching this movie if she was pregnant for real while they were making the film. Now, the amazing Chioma Akpotha plays Ekaite, Officer Magnus's frustrated wife, and Chioma Akpotha, she never misses. She always does a great job in her films, in my opinion, and I really enjoyed her performance in this film as Ekaite. And after watching the film and thinking back on it, I just couldn't help but think of how police brutality has really affected several families and several homes. There are now many women, without husbands, many children without fathers, because of the things that happen as a result of police brutality in this country and around the world. It's really sad. Now, some of the other actors in this film were the multi-talented Laoye, the amazing Bimbo Manuel, and also Gregory Ojefua playing the commander in the task force, and he was very good in that role. I've seen him play similar roles in the past, but for some reason I really liked him in this role. And Kenneth Okolie was also one of the officers in that task force, and I've not seen Kenneth Okolie play like a hard guy before. Typically he plays the lover boy, and I was watching, I wasn't even sure if he was the one. I was like, is that Kenneth Okolie? And I waited to the end credits, and sure enough, it was him. Kenneth Okolie is he's a very good actor, let me put it that way. Finally, Norbert Young was also in this film, another one of my favorites, and the acting in this film generally was very good, and I think that's because, well, A, they had good directing, and B, the story was just so solid. What I liked that this film was loosely based on real-life occurrences in this country, from the End SARS movement to police brutality to poor working conditions for police officers to profiling of young Nigerians. I liked the fact that this film talked about that in a major way, and it didn't try and skirt around any serious issues that revolve around police brutality. I also like the fact that this film was incredibly relatable. I was watching this film at certain times and I could relate to so many situations, from being profiled, from feeling a lot of tension and anxiety when being stopped by the police, to trying to make it as a young creative in this country. So there's just so many things about this film that were very relatable. I also liked the story. The story was very well told, and sure, it's a story about police brutality and all that, but these characters and these elements that were inserted into the film, they were done very well. And the way the story was told, I think not the entire film, but in a portion of the film, it shows the events that span throughout one entire day, and that's the day that Mide, is unfortunately, he loses his life at the hands of a negligent police officer. Finally, I liked the fact that Kelechi, Udebe and Etim Effiong shared the screen for a couple of scenes in this film. They are two brilliant actors who they understand the assignment whenever a camera is pointed in front of them, and they feed off their co-stars' energy. And rarely, in my opinion, do both these actors get fellow actors who can really give them back the energy that they give out. So when I saw two of them on screen, my mind actually went, wait a minute, I'm watching a scene with Kelechi Udebe, who is a great actor, and Etim Effiong, who is another great actor. They're in a scene together exchanging words. This should actually be very good. And it was I like how they had this back and forth in the car in the moments leading up to Mide's eventual demise. So yeah, I really liked the scene between both those fantastic actors. Oh, and I really liked the cinematography in this film. Making a movie in Lagos can be tough because we've seen Lagos shown from different angles and in different movies and in different ways. So bringing a creative element to Lagos and the streets of Lagos and just showing it in a different way that viewers have never seen before is a bit of a challenge. And I think they met that challenge sufficiently in this movie. They had very good camera work, very good angles and frames. The images were crisp and clear, and I really appreciated a lot of the things I was seeing as I watched the film. What I didn't like, just the headphones that Mide kept on wearing for most of the film. It felt weird. I felt like we didn't need to see him wearing headphones all the time to know that the guy is a musician. I felt like we could have done without. But yeah, to be honest, that's the only thing about the film that I didn't like. Who should see it? See Collision Course if you are going to vote in the February 2023 elections in Nigeria, because it will remind you of one of the things that's really important, which is the way our government treats the forces and treats the citizens at the same time. We tend to, as time passes, we tend to forget what things like End SARS in 2020 were all about. This film will remind you, and it will remind you that as you're going to the polls in February, you need to vote for the kind of candidate that is willing to bring the kind of amendments and reform that the police force requires, that will provide better living and working conditions for them, and that will try and improve the relationship between the forces and the citizens. So yes, if you are voting in 2023, February 2023 to be precise, watch this film. Also, if you're not too clear on what the End SARS movement was about in October of 2020, then you might want to watch this film. It may educate you a little bit, even though it's fictional, but it's based on real events. Finally, if you're looking for a very moving story, something that's different, something that'll really move you, then you should watch this film. Although it can move you so much that it might trigger you if police brutality or that kind of thing traumatizes you a little bit. Also, if you are a politician, a worker in the government, a police officer, or a member of the armed forces in Nigeria, then I think you should watch this film, Collision Course. It will educate you on the plights and the challenges of the common man in this country. In conclusion, this was really a great film. I think it did a good job of honoring the memory or standing as a tribute to the people that we've lost to police brutality in this country and the people that we lost during the End SARS movement almost 2 years ago in October of 2020. It's very moving, very thought-provoking. I watched this film in the early hours of Friday morning, just after it dropped on Netflix, and then I went back to sleep and I actually had a dream about police conflict. But the sad part is, in the dream, I was one of the police officers. It was quite weird. Anyway, congratulations once again to the director of this film, Bolanle Austen Peters, who incidentally is someone that I mentioned in my previous review. She won the award at the AMCVA, like I said earlier, for Best Movie West Africa for this very same film, Collision Course, and I think it was very well deserved. Anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this movie review, please like it by clicking on the like button just underneath the video, and subscribe to my channel as well by clicking on the red subscribe button. On this channel, I don't just do Nollywood movie reviews, I also talk about relationships. So check out some of my awesome relationship content or my past reviews. You can click the card in the corner of the screen. I also have a playlist of Netflix reviews as well. You might want to check that out. I also do have another channel, I should say, on personal finance, saving and investing, because those things are very important. So feel free to check that out. I will link it in the description box down below. Thanks for the final time, guys. I will see you in the next one. Take care.